pledge of allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
Have the minutes been read and approved by the supervisors?
Make a motion, we accept the minutes from the previous meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Treasurer's report.
Receipts since last meeting, $100 from zoning permits, $400 from sewage permit, $514.47 from state police fines, $3,102.13 from real estate transfer tax, $69.58 from county fines, and $415 from UGI.
Thank you, Shauna.
You're welcome.
Roadmaster.
Okay, since the last meeting, the guys have been out working on some ditches. They've been cutting some brush. Basically a lot of cleanup around the borough, the township. They did a small ditch for the water authority where they had some washout up there due to heavy rains. We're still trying to work on that ditch going up Vandermark, but water is so bad up there. It's been a real slow process. Now, at the last meeting, we opened up bids for the paving projects in the township from Waco and ER Lindy. We have 4 different roads that we're going to pave. Waco's bid for the 4 roads was the low bid for a total of $87,641.22 versus ER Lindy's bid of $102,590. So at this time, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the Waco bid for $87,641.22.
And I'll second that motion. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. No zoning? Did you leave anything for zoning?
No.
Okay. Public comment period number 1. Yes, state name, physical address, please.
Weber, Milford Borough, we're Sunshine Ag, I'm recording this meeting.
Okay. Anybody else? Yes.
Yes, hi. My name is Chuck O'Neill, and I just have a couple of comments.
Physical address, please.
I'm sorry?
Physical address?
7046 6th Street, Milford, Pike County.
No. Okay.
Like many local citizens, I've been following the discussions involving the Milford Township zoning ordinance, specifically the proposed amendments which would allow for much greater density than is currently permitted. And like so many citizens you continue to hear from, I have real concerns about the impact such dramatic changes will impose on the quality of life here. In fact, I haven't spoken to a single person who is in favor of the planned revisions, which, along with other changes, allows for as many as 100 apartments, as you all know. But separate from the amendments themselves, many of us have also expressed concerns about the process by which the ordinance might be modified. It's not clear how the proposed amendments are consistent with the comprehensive plan, which itself needs to be revisited, especially when the zoning permitted in the revised ordinance would differ so significantly from the surrounding area. As well, it appears that the proposed amendments have been tailored to a single prospective developer to the detriment of the whole community. By definition, this is spot zoning, a textbook example of it, in fact. I hope the supervisors will take a step back and reconsider what is truly best for the community, township, boroughs, all of Pike County. As Gifford Pinchot said, the greatest good for the greatest number in the long run. I think that needs to be the focus here. And thank you for listening.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes. Name,
Greg
physical
Murphy.
address.
I have property in the borough and also Delaware Township. And this leads to a question, but I've been reviewing minutes from past meetings, and I'd just like to read a few excerpts from the meetings. And this was August 28th. The chairman, which I assume was you at that time, added that this proposal will increase the population of the town by 10 to 20%, and that would impact traffic, fire department, and school. At the meeting of September 17th, Gary Clark asserted that a 2,500 square foot per unit was actually too small, and Gary Clark said that we needed to be careful as everybody will be able to do what we allow them to do. Penny commented, wondered if bringing any high-paying jobs was an option for using this land. On September 25th, the solicitor, which I guess he's not here, the solicitor said that the flaw actually existed in the amount of units Santos has wanted to put. I assume that meant Legend's property. And it was one unit for 2,500 square feet instead of 30,000 square feet. The solicitor added that the chairman of the board of supervisors had wondered why Santos had asked for such a small square footage. He did not feel that anybody was keen on approving this amendment. Although 30,000 square feet per unit was too much, 2,500 feet was too little, and hence the board of supervisors was not in favor of it, and his plan needed to be revised. Penny said that the person who wants to buy the property is putting it every month on hold, and he might back off if the zoning amendment doesn't go through. She asserted that bringing high-income jobs might be a better option to use this land in retail stores. We're not going to bring in high-paying jobs. October 1st, Gary Clark said that he would be careful about making a decision, as once this amendment got approved, all developers would want to base building 2,500 square feet, and he added that it actually wanted to see a lot of jobs and apartments, and this would not bring jobs into the town. He proposed we could mediate a balance with the low square footage that Mr. Oldiger was proposing, as we needed to think the good for everybody in Milford Township. Mr. Williams replied that the building residential part would make more money for the owner of the property. November 5th, I'm getting to it. Gary Clark asked the representative to move towards a median number. He offered that putting more commercial items on the piece of land might be a better option. On February 4th, Don Quick introduced himself as the chairman of Milford Township and informed that he was a supervisor from '96 to 2017. He inquired why the developer of a specific project had presented this amendment. He added that the zoning change should stand on its own. Mr. Clark added that the amendment proposal had arisen from this specific developer, and as such, everyone deserved to hear from that developer. Mr. Clark added that buying a 10-acre land, then building only 12 apartments, is not financially viable. On the same meeting, one of the residents inquired how this new type of development was going to help the township. The chairman replied that senior citizens like to sell their big houses, live in these apartments where they can walk to the stores. His point was that such a residential development would be more suitable than building a Lowe's store. And I guess my question is, it seems like for several meetings that you guys had all the same concerns that we've all been voicing for months, and then it completely flopped to the other side. I just wondered what caused it.
Not even gonna answer you because I'd have to review all the minutes. So, other than that, somebody else wants to answer. You wanna answer?
I haven't flopped anywhere, Greg.
Yeah.
I'm
Me
still
either.
wide open, so I don't know why you even say that. I was
So
at
you
the
guys
planning
aren't,
board- No, I
on
have
record,
not.
you're not for this
I'm not
project?
for or against it.
Okay,
I'm very, very wide open. I do want to do a comprehensive plan. I was at the planning meeting,
okay.
and I do want to have Milford Borough and Milford Township do a comprehensive plan. I've reached out to Westwell Township after listening to Mr. Ted. I always forget, I don't want to screw up his last name. Mr. Ted, we're leaving it at that. To try to get Westwell, and the reason I wanted to get Westwell was one comment he made, that we can connect them all.
Right.
And then we can use you can use the whole, all of us. Now, whether Westwell's gonna be in line with coming with us, I don't know. We were gracious enough to do the septic treatment thing, so I'm hoping that
Well,
there is.
and that's all we can ask for, is that there is a
Absolutely.
plan that's
I
going to
don't
be.
have a
I
judgment
mean,
on
I'm
any
just
of
going
that.
based on some of the comments such
No,
as,
and you know
you
what,
know,
if
that
you
was-
knew me, I started a business plan in 1995.
right,
I didn't know where it was gonna end up at, and you just keep on throwing stuff on the walls, and you see what's gonna work for everybody. That's all I can do.
I mean, it was just, the comment was made at the next planning commission that this is either gonna be
Well, it can,
approved or not
well, it
approved.
can be approved by the planning commission, doesn't mean it's
Okay.
gonna get approved by the supervisors.
Okay, well,
So,
he was on TV saying, then we'll have our decision, so,
No.
yeah.
Well, we won't have there's an odd number of people,
Yeah.
so
Right,
we won't
So,
have,
it-
okay,
it's
I'm
like,
just going
yeah.
by what I see on TV and.
Well, I wish I would've saw what was on TV, because I didn't see it.
Well, I said that there's now a fifth planning board member, so there can no longer be tied.
Oh, okay.
Which
can't
is
be a tie.
pretty obvious, right? Okay, is there anything else?
No, Fred Weber, Milford Borough. So with this discussion that just took place, am I hearing that even if you get the recommendation from the planning board at the next session, you will delay that until we start looking at the comprehensive plan?
I will listen to my planning board, because I'm sure they've done their due diligence, that's number one.
So that sounds like,
And then what happens is it gets sent to county planning.
okay, county
Okay.
plan. Right,
And county planning.
That's how long
And
is that
then,
cycle?
and then there becomes a public comment period, okay, 30 days.
Right,
And then it comes before this board and it gets voted on.
okay.
That's how it
So
works.
it sounds like we got 30 days.
Well, you don't have 30 days because it wasn't approved by the planning board, and you don't even know if it's going to get approved by the planning board. Nobody
Yeah,
knows
well,
that.
Okay, nod, wink, wink.
Okay, but they've done their due diligence, and I'll listen to whatever they've got to say, because that's what they're there for.
Exactly.
exactly
So
what they're
my
doing.
question is, if you're gonna wait to revamp the comprehensive plan and work with the borough, it sure doesn't sound like it.
I didn't say I would work with the borough with the comprehensive plan, Penny did,
Right, okay.
okay?
Okay.
I never said that, and the reason why is,
Well, that's why I'm asking.
there's no room for expansion in the borough. The borough is locked in. But
Correct.
the township's not locked in, they have a lot of lands out there. So
Right.
really, if you lock them into, let's say, 25% lot coverage in the borough, and then you think it's gonna work in township, it won't, because a guy with 20 acres here would only be allowed to build on 5. It doesn't make sense. So there's a lot of things that wouldn't jive back and forth,
Well,
and that's the way it really was. And like I said, and it should be equal. As we all know, we've never been invited to a borough meeting for any of the changes
So you
that
don't
have
have
been
a
made,
telephone?
but yet they come here. So,
Call them up.
well, call them up. Don't you think that we should be informed?
Oh, okay, so.
But we're not gonna get into that.
No, we're
It
not gonna.
doesn't matter. You're not gonna,
But it sounds like, if you read the comprehensive plan, this amendment is totally counter to what's in that comprehensive plan. Totally.
comprehensive plan was a dream, and obviously with the borough passing theirs with the residential units going
You know, I
into
didn't
the
take
garages,
this,
that was a
right? You know
very
what,
big
I'm
thing,
getting
and
this.
yet we weren't invited. But I won't get into that.
No, I guess not. But I have it on tape, thank God.
Gary,
Yeah.
Bill Kiger, 600 7th Street in the borough. I'd like to challenge two public perceptions that are out there, and you kind of just brought the first one up. Our good zoning officer, Sean Bowles, brought it up at the last planning meeting, in which he addressed that Milford Borough had made a big density move, and that's not true. That situation has been in the borough for a long time. All they did is kind of codify it so they could kind of control it, possibly get some taxes off of it.
So what he said by making the garages residential is not true, it's not gonna happen, or
No,
didn't.
no, that's gonna happen, but
Oh, it did happen.
it's a condition in the borough for a long time. It's not something new, it's not a big density move.
So in other words, you could always put apartments in a garage at any time in the borough, all the time. But now being
It
residential,
happened without being able to be regulated by the council.
oh,
And so they finally realized that, and they realized they had to codify it. That's why they made the move. But it's been a situation on lot coverage in the borough for a long time.
Hmm.
The second, not too long ago, you were on Channel 13 and you used primetime meets as an example of what you're planning to do here. And I think, well, the primetime,
prime time
How
Wheatfield
would you
Village.
mix
the whole
use
In other
area?
words, that's a mixed
Mixed
use, you
use
got
area.
22 behind,
Right,
and you
right.
got the businesses out front. This would be a larger scale on any
Right, right.
20-acre
Same
piece,
principle,
on
right.
any 20-acre piece, okay? It would just be on a larger scale, yes.
yeah, and just, the point is, the primetime meets and everything up and down the corridor here has been wonderfully handled by the township. Everything is set back, it's spaced, and what you're planning to do now with this concentration of apartments is totally different, and that's why we're concerned. It's not gonna be like Prime Time Meets, which is a wonderful example of what you've done in the past.
Actually, the setbacks have not changed, so whatever was gonna be built, or at any 20-acre piece, the setbacks haven't changed.
No,
So the setbacks are actually exactly the same, so you still have to be that far off the highway, you still have to be that far away from the next building. That I don't understand, when you're saying they're gonna be closer, how can they be closer when none of that's been changed?
yeah, but that whole parcel up there is not a concentration of people and infrastructure, which is what you're contemplating.
It's not. So, how many acres is that? Do we know? Is it 10 acres, 5 acres?
About 12 acres.
12 acres, and that's not a concentration with all those businesses out in front and the village out
I
behind?
haven't ever heard anyone
I'm just
complain.
curious, it's
I haven't
not,
heard anyone complain about it,
yeah,
whereas they're complaining about what is contemplated here.
yeah. Well, I mean,
Thank
any
you.
20-acre piece, that's what it is, okay?
Thank you.
All right, yes, Phyllis,
My turn?
yeah.
I also attended the meeting regarding the comprehensive plan, and I think it was very enlightening because the fellow who was explaining the comprehensive plan and the need to it's been over 10 years since it's been reviewed, so it's overdue for a reexamination in terms of, and it has never been a governing instrument. It's sort of like a wish list.
It's a business plan.
Right, but it's not a
It's not
mandatory,
written in stone, no. it's
doesn't
not.
set up rules, it just is an overview of where we'd like to be in the future.
Actually, it's also projecting what's gonna happen in the future, trying to.
Right, right.
And you're throwing in your dreams.
Right, right,
My
and I
dream-
thought was interesting is
My
how-
dream is having sidewalks from here to West Hall. That's my dream.
Okay, so you have one
I have
item
one
you'd
dream.
like to see introduced. On the other hand, the fellow who was speaking about this has obviously worked with a number of municipalities. And I think he's representing a company that you hire to come in to help you create a newer version of the plan. And one of the things that was brought up, and it was brought up in response to my particular question, about wouldn't it be beneficial to have more municipalities involved in a joint thing, like Milford Township and Milford Borough is what's being discussed now, but I don't see Milford Township and Milford Borough having necessarily the closest wish list. As a matter of fact, the wish lists are, I think, relatively different. And one thing that was brought up is trying to redo the comprehensive plan involving more municipalities to bring in more perspectives, because Milford Township is attached not only to the interests of the borough on one side, but everything out that way on the other side. And he had mentioned that up in the Scranton area, he said. What the municipalities did is they had more municipalities involved in creating the new comprehensive plan in order to bring more perspectives into the picture and sharing more ideas and learning from each other, which he thought it would be a great idea if we do look to update the plan to include more than just the township and the borough. Especially because I don't think we have that much in common in terms of our goals. Just because we're next door to each other doesn't mean we share the same objectives. And Milford Borough has gone ahead with many of their plans, irrespective of the township and vice versa. So if updating the comprehensive plan is a goal of ours to try to have that in place relative to what's being considered in terms of this latest project, my recommendation would be that we open the comprehensive plan to include more municipalities, because we're all codependent, not just the township. And that's, I'm done. That's my.
Phyllis, before you go any further, the meeting that was held in Milford, was it held by Milford? Now that you brought it up, was it held by Milford?
No, we invited
No.
Mr. Ted
To come and
to
speak to
come and
us.
speak to both of the planning boards.
Who's we?
It was brought
It
up
was
at a
supposed to be
prior
here.
meeting that he was going to, being a company that represents creating these, that we would have the opportunity to hear his perspective on what's the best way to go
Actually,
about.
it was a training session for the planning board.
Yeah, it was a training session held in Milford Borough.
Well,
It was supposed to be held here.
Well, yeah,
when I pulled
here-
up to
here
this parking
is
lot, they said
a
it's in the
planning
borough
board
meeting,
The
so.
planning board chose not to attend.
The planning board,
It was
The
a
WOW has no
workshop.
experience that
we
you're gonna
never
put all
gave
this
them
on.
the authorization to attend the meeting in Milford Borough.
I found it.
Why are you so
I'm
reluctant
just,
to
I'm
open
just,
your
I'm
eyes
just
to
telling you
this?
because the three of them
But
met
why are
there.
you so reluctant to
Excuse
open
me,
your eyes to it?
excuse me, I'm talking, if 3 planning board members did show up, that would be breaking the sunshine law.
Well,
So,
it's supposed to be a
because
workshop.
that they're together,
It was a
there's a
workshop.
quorum.
It was a
supposed to be
workshop.
Right, but that's here, not there.
But
It
the
was
law is-
supposed to be here, and there was a sign on the door here
That
directing
said-
people
That said,
to
it's
the
gonna
borough.
be
There was more
in the
than
borough.
50
What's the
there.
difference?
This is
where
exasperating,
And
but
it
we
was
actually care about the outcome of
advertised
this.
to be
I
here.
understand where you're coming from, and
No, you
I
don't.
wish it wasn't brought up in this meeting because
Because
there
now
was
it's
a
on
meeting
record.
held and I just.
Well, it is sort of relevant.
It's very relevant. This is all we're asking for, is that you, and you have on public record
No,
that
you
you're not
don't.
gonna participate in this. You
Well,
just said
in
it.
which?
You're right.
You
I
said
would-
I'm not-
The only way I would have went to that meeting is if I brought it here and I asked for an
And bring it
approval.
here.
Excuse me,
And do it.
excuse me. From these two to attend that meeting. Because I'm not allowed by
It's open to
law,
everybody.
excuse me, I'm not allowed by law to go to another meeting and represent the town of Milford Township.
Okay.
I'm not allowed to do that.
But you're not allowed to go
unless-
as a
excuse me.
citizen.
No, because I'm an elected official. I have to bring it here in a meeting, and then what happens is I have to say, look, I want to attend the Westfall meeting, I want to represent Milford Township, and it's on this subject. Now what has to happen is we have to make a motion on it, and after you make the motion, then I would be allowed to go. I'm just letting you know what the sunshine law
So the
is. I
law
know
says
it very
you are
well.
not able to attend any meetings as an individual.
Well-
Every place you go, you can only go as an official?
Well, if you say you're an official, now I can go and sit there
Yes.
and just sit.
Unless,
But if I say I'm a Milford Township supervisor, and I'm here on behalf of
wouldn't you
Milford
find it
Township, I
advantageous
have
to
generally
learn
put
from
my
what
foot
was
in my
being
mouth.
said just as a resident? That's why I went.
That's what Olinger told us when he was helping to rewrite the amendments over there. I'm just here to serve you. And he represents the legend property.
Yeah, I just, like I said, I just wish it wasn't brought up in here because of what I just
Go
heard.
ahead.
I want to say thank you, Penny, for showing up to the workshop. I think that, it's a step in the right direction for all of
Learn
us.
something.
We learned something. I learned something. I think it was very beneficial. Penny came. I don't know what that means, but, one of your planning commission members came. I don't know if he was a citizen or what he was, but I want to thank him for coming. There's 4 other new members on our planning commission board that are going to be making a very important decision very soon. And I don't know if they have the experience and, are educated enough on the subject and everything that's going on to make such a big decision. I would like to know, now you say that you would like to get involved with,
Well, I like the
Continuing.
Westfall part of the whole
I like the
thing.
Westfall part of it too. I would love to see a bike path from here to Westfall. That would be awesome. And, I hope that you are committed to diving back into this comprehensive plan and working it out before such a big decision is made. This is the future of our community.
Well, the comprehensive plan, as far as I know, goes to the planning commission. They will do whatever they've got to do with it. They've already got it, from what I understand, so. But that's a long ways down the road, because they've got other things in front of them right now, other than the zoning change or the amendment, okay? There's other things that they have. So, I don't know when that's gonna
So,
happen.
Okay, but you are
It
on
only
TV
says that
as
we have to
saying that the
revisit
next,
it.
that the
Doesn't
next.
say that we have to change it. It says that we have to revisit it. Now, whether we want to change it or whatever, that's, well, I'll look at the planning board. I'm going to listen to what they have to say, because that's what you should be doing as supervisor, listening to your planning board.
Sure, and it's a new planning board that I just hope they take the time to, read all the material that they have to read. I started reading it, it's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of stuff.
I've read
and,
that, I've read that
you know.
comprehensive plan 10 times over. I understand it, believe me. I
Okay.
do.
Well, then I hope you follow it.
It's interesting
Well, I
that you
hope
say that.
everybody would have, but
So Gary, are you saying that at the next meeting, that planning commission meeting, they're not gonna be voting on the zoning amendment change?
Oh, I don't know
Or are
what,
they?
I never said that. We don't know what they're gonna
They
do.
said it can't
I
be a
just-
high school, because there's 5 people, and if 5 people are participating, it can't be a high school, it can't be 2 groups.
No, I understand that, but when does the public know whether or not that will be taken up at a particular meeting?
It'll be taken up at the next meeting, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, it'll be
Whether
taken,
they're gonna vote onto it, I don't know.
right.
Oh,
But it will be definitely before
their
the planning
decision,
board
not
next week. They have done their due diligence, they've done all kinds of paperwork on it, I know that, because I get it, and I'm impressed. I've never seen it before with any planning board, where they've gone out and researched as much as they have.
Yeah, Fred Weber, Milford Borough, so you've got one brand-new member who's, what, 2 weeks on the board? I'm sure he needs some time to get up to speed, yet he may be voting on this next week.
Well, he's reading all the literature that's out there, trust me, he's
Thank
reading
God
and
for
reading,
that.
I'm sure. Because that's what that chairman does, he makes them all read. All right, so, moving on.
So, firstly, I want you to understand that we have asked the planning board repeatedly why they're doing this, why they're looking at this amendment, what their perspectives are on how this benefits the community. And their answer to that has been that they are taking it up because the supervisors told them to.
That's-
So they take their direction from you, and we heard that also from the individual from Harrisburg who came, saying that it is the governing body that sets the tone and the culture and the expectation. And he also said that they should be engaging the people. That that's the most important part of getting the plan done, is engaging the people as much as they can, as many as they can, in lots of different ways, in lots of different groups. So, there's, for what you're saying, you gotta back up also and look at it from the other perspective. The planning board is saying that they're taking their direction from you.
Yeah, they are.
Don't even
Just
much
like
as
they,
so-
just like they are with the fireworks ordinance, and just like they are with the amusement. In other words, we send it down to them, and their job is to investigate it, to see whether or not it's viable for the township. Now, that's what they're doing, and then they will send it back to us, whether they're going to recommend it or not. Now, I'm sure with this planning board, they have done their due diligence on all kinds of the actions from the amendment itself, okay? So I will be listening to the planning board after, whether it passes or it don't pass, and why or why not.
You meant we.
I have some
That
questions
we, right, not
particular
just you.
to the,
If they send it to us,
You meant we, not
particular
you
to the
said I.
Well,
intergovernmental agreement for
I
the
think
sewer.
I got to write the
And
question
I
too.
wanted you to have a chance to have it in front of you so that you would respond to the questions that I have about this agreement. Number one, at the bottom of page 2, in item number 3, it's the township's responsibility to set the area that will be served based on the area that you want to see served for sewer. So my question to you is, who determined what that area is? How was it determined?
There is no area yet. That's what he tried to explain to us in that meeting. There is no area. That's,
No, for this,
This agreement,
no, there is.
the agreement says that,
Here, and I have this, and I guess we're getting all things, but, anyway, what we picked, when they were talking, this is what I have.
oh, you picked one.
I did, they asked me where I felt that so obviously the one region was gonna be the run between Westfall and
down to the borough.
down to the borough. The other one I said, and it's just thrown in there, nothing's gonna happen, is down where Moon Valley Road is and going up there, because they have central sewage right now, but it is not doing well. It's not gonna end up happening in the first phase, unfortunately. But when you do this online sewer survey, they said put in as many, and make it your wish list. And then we'll work off of
Who
that.
should be in the study?
Yes,
Put up that Valley too.
yes,
Wow.
yes.
When did this come out?
Up
that
to
you
Apple
did
Valley.
I
this?
just got this the other day, I just got this on my email.
That's why I didn't,
And I thought I
when we
forwarded it
asked,
to.
and we looked at the map, when the engineer was here
Yeah.
that night, it goes through Pine Acres.
Yeah,
So I'm trying to,
it
looking at
doesn't
this
look like Pine
agreement,
Acres is not in there.
looking at this agreement, it would seem to me that it's the township's responsibility to set the area that's going to be covered potentially, and that's gonna be covered in the.
And it might eventually be Pine Acres, but for this study, it didn't sound like anybody listening to you was failing or wanted to have it or whatever. But I can always call them up and I can have them wrap it right up to Pine Acres if you like.
So what you're saying is that the area was defined by,
Where water was.
okay, so the,
If there's not
the
central water,
engineer's drive that they said, which was plus or minus 20%.
yes, where there is water, like Greenwood Hills, is not, it wasn't even brought up there because there's no central water, there's no, nothing, so that got left behind.
So a Wheatfield Village that does not have water,
Greenfield Village doesn't have water?
no, they have their own shared well.
Okay.
But there's a line sitting up there that can unplug
Yeah.
at any time.
Yes, that I understand that they had some disputes.
So, and honestly, I don't know, Wheatfield Village, I really don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, is this body as a group making that decision, or did the
I'm the-
HRG engineering?
They were the, when we go to our meetings once a month,
She represents us.
I
We gave her
represent
approval
them.
for representing Milford Township.
Does that mean that she makes a decision on
She
behalf
can
of the
make a
township
decision
independently?
because we gave her approval to do so.
Okay. My second question on the top of page 2, it talks about possible expansion of the treatment plan. It says that again at the top of page 3, whether or not it's going to be necessary. So my question is, was due diligence done to ascertain if the authority's plant system needs any significant improvements notwithstanding the expansion, so that the expansion area doesn't get hit with the cost of that? And did we do any due diligence as to the financial stability?
This is just a study, Rachel.
Well, I don't read it that way when I see that
And you know
it
what, I
says,
think probably because Mr. Magnotta read it over and approved, and didn't see any problems, that we'll wait for Mr. Magnotta to come. He's still sick.
okay, well, we can certainly have another discussion about it, but I'm looking at page 1 where it says that the municipalities have agreed to evaluate and implement the construction and installation of the extension. I'm just reading the language and I'm a layperson, so, yeah, but my question is, was due diligence done to find out if the plant needs anything and if they
Right now,
have
they're
stability?
just doing enough gallonage for what they have. They are not planning on increasing their plant. That's it. And so the next phase would be, if they have to increase their plant, that's another day. Right now, we're only working on what they have to offer.
Okay, but the agreement says that if they need to expand the plant, not just to cover the area, but also to have room for future growth of Westfall, that would be incorporated into the cost that will be equitably distributed.
By what we're using.
It doesn't define equitably distributed, so I would love to hear what you have to say about how that's going to be determined. But my third question is, if Milford Township decides not to move forward, either because they don't see the plan as feasible, or they don't see the distribution of the cost as equitable, or they don't, the term satisfactory to the parties this year, are we exposed to being sued by the other municipalities for not moving
No.
forward?
No.
Because the language under number 7 says for the actual expansion of the project. It doesn't just say for the study. So on page 3, under number 7, the other parties will ensure that the proportionate share of the costs incurred are provided to the authority to reimburse the authority for fees and costs expended on the extension project. It doesn't say the feasibility study only.
I don't know. We were told that there was no, if we did the study, we are not under any obligation.
And do we have that in writing
Yes, we do. Tony has it. Yes, we do.
from, coming
That
from?
we do not have to act on the 537 plan. Because I asked those very specific questions, and I asked a couple more, like, what if we don't do it? He said, Milford Borough can lay that pipe right underneath their right-of-way for,
And have a,
and nobody here would get it, but it would go to the borough, because they would be allowed to do that with transportation, allowing them to do that.
Right, I was here when HRG did their presentation, but the language in this agreement speaks a little differently to me about where we are in terms of moving the project forward.
What One thing is, I would not want to comment on this unless I had Tony present, because he's very skilled when it comes to the sewage.
Well, the other thing is too, we also have.
Well, he's done Scrantons and whatnot, so he's in tune with the language that they're using.
I'm sorry, Penny, what were you
I was
saying?
gonna tell you, the next sewage meeting, for anybody that is interested, it's a lot of fun.
Sounds like my kind of meeting.
Uh-huh.
You must have a
Septic
board
meeting,
like-
3 o'clock, July 10th, for anybody that would like to attend,
Where?
at the Commissioner's office.
And who's the body that you would put in a right to know request for the minutes of those meetings to?
I get them from Michael Spatz. Do you want, I can forward them to you.
That would be fantastic.
I don't have your email address, so.
I can get that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Done? Larry?
Larry Coder,
Milford
Milford Township. I just got one question about this nice instrument here. How come nobody else's autographs are here for any other municipality?
They are on there. Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
just happens to be the one that she has a copy of.
Oh,
Exactly.
okay, just curious.
She got it from us before.
Yes, sir, I did.
Everybody signed off on it?
Complete
Yes.
with the lack-a-laxing page at the end of it.
That was some goofies.
Okay, last one?
I first saw that.
Adam Butler, Milford Township. Along the lines of the legality that Rachel is concerned with, which you say there is another document that would support your position to where the township is not legally obligated or can be sued if we don't move forward, because I read it the same way, that what you signed, not what was implied to you, is that you will move forward with implementation. So is that a record that we can get?
That would, you'd have to put in a request, and then it would go for legal review of whether you can get it or not. Isn't that the way it works? You are the officer, okay. So
So
you put your request in.
how do I
and then-
define that request?
Excuse me?
How do I define that request? So I
You can say that you're looking for anything that has to do with the 537 plan, right? And that would have to be included, wouldn't it? I would
can, I
think.
don't know, I'm asking you.
I would think.
so- Okay.
But like I said, put it in, and then Shahana, she's the open records, and what she does there on that one, she'll send it to legal, and he'll review it, and then you'll find it or whatever you need, and it gets back to you. Sometimes it's not within 3 or 4 days, because she'll give you an extension, because she's had so many of them coming in. So what she does is she extends it for, I think, 30 days, isn't that correct? Yeah.
Understood. And then another question on that is that Mrs. Lewis, you stated that you have the parameters for the feasibility study where Milford Township would like to see the feasibility, is that correct? Which areas of the township
Oh.
that are going to be studied?
Yes,
And what did you say they were?
it was gonna be the corridor from here,
Right.
and,
So 6 and 2 and 9 to
and
the borough.
then down towards Moon Valley Road and up towards Moon Valley Falls.
Okay, and so my concern with that is, from my understanding, the 3 of you live in Moon Valley,
It's not,
and 3 of the members of the planning board live in Moon Valley. So,
I own my own septic, I really could give a rat's.
I have my own set. Mine's a
If I get
Canadian
it.
system.
But what I'm
you're-
saying,
yeah,
no,
you're
it's not,
grouped in with
How you
your
doing over there,
neighbors
Larry?
in
You
that.
good?
no.
And there just seems to be an
But
ethical
what I
issue.
know about, I can send it up to
Active
Pine,
version?
I can send it up to Pine Acres, I can't send it up Route 6.
So my issue is not with the fact that it's going
No, there's
there,
been no
but
collusion.
but it's the appointed members are
Oh,
coming from the same area. And there were other candidates that put forth good letters that were not Moon Valley residents.
Well, originally
That-
Harry Forbes was up on Foster Hill.
I'm asking that. Thank you. So to me, there is an ethical issue with those appointments.
I think you better watch yourself, there's no ethical appointments.
Well, it's going to be apparent, which was the same word that the attorney used as far as the Sunshine Act with regards to Mr. Stroyan and Mr. Willis. Not that they violated it, but there was an apparent violation, and your attorney said that they most likely would appeal So when you put all of that together, that becomes a very apparent
also
issue that they were removed for going by the current comprehensive plan in what they wanted to do as far as not allowing the build out.
But we also have a political plan. We also have a political, how do we pick Rachel or how do I pick Don? It's political.
Right. I understand. So that absolves the three of you from your appointments, but not the ones that you've appointed, which all factor into this issue. And so they were removed from their position by you three as judge, jury, and executioner, and 3 members from Moon Valley were appointed.
Oh, really? What an accusation.
Well,
Yeah, well, especially
I think
since
it's
they were the only ones that put in for the positions, hey, what a deal there.
Besides Rachel
That's not
and Don.
Yeah, besides Rachel and Don, but you're running
Besides
for
Rachel and Don.
supervisor.
Harry
Running for
Forbes,
But you
supervisor.
could have asked for more people as well.
We did ask.
We did ask him, yeah.
Harry Forbes
Yeah, we
was
put it out there.
appointed until he.
I had it on the Milford Township site.
Yeah. It doesn't matter, I see what you're trying to accuse us of.
I'm not, no.
But,
There-
yeah,
there's,
you are.
there's no
Yeah,
accusation.
You
you
are
are.
very
Yes, there is.
But-
strongly
I mean, I'm sitting here
accusing us.
tonight, and tonight's the first time I heard about the sewer going up Moon Valley Road.
Me too.
I knew it was going up to Apple Valley, but I did not know about Moon Valley Road.
And so then again.
And it's not going up, it's being,
It's not going up,
Looked
it's being
into.
looked into.
Again, there is an issue with her being appointed to that position and you not knowing until tonight that this is the
Well, you know
feasibility
what,
Well,
area.
that's why we,
that's why I
So-
have these papers here,
Right.
it just
Did-
worked out, I just
Did
got
you
them.
understand that there were issues in the township, because Mr. Clark, you said at previous meetings that we have good dirt in Milford Township, and if we have good dirt, then why would we want to be involved?
we have no ground failure, that's what it's called, no ground failure.
Okay, if we have no ground failure, why do we want central sewer?
And we said we want it. We're allowing it to be looked at.
This was blindsided to these supervisors, and I keep saying that over and over and over. We had no idea about this.
Did you have to
This
say
was
yes?
thrown on us.
Did you have to say yes?
Yes, to what?
To what?
To
The
the
537
feasibility
plan?
study, to sign on.
We're not paying a dime for it.
You-
Let's see where it falls, because you know what? Not one resident is paying a dime. I always said, our residents will not pay a dime. They didn't.
Pike County is, though, through the loss of grants to do the feasibility study. We're putting grant money into a feasibility study, and you signed
Well,
on
then you
for
should
it.
take it up with Mr. Osterberg,
Yeah,
because
right.
that's
It's
where
all
the money
meeting.
came from, and this is what it was geared for.
Fair,
This money
fair
is
enough.
what it's
But
for,
if there is no need for it in Milford Township, then I
that
don't
we
understand.
know of.
Again, if the feasibility study comes back and they say it's feasible and the implementation begins, then we very well could be on the hook. If the zoning is changed for development, we could be on the hook in multiple different ways from a tax base. So
So the reason that I felt that we should do this, we have the Delaware River, if we don't know that everybody's septic system is good, now, all of you guys are ecologically friendly, I'm gonna assume, right? What happens when we leach into the river? I mean, these are
do you
reasons
go?
that you're doing this stuff for. It's like you're putting your head in the ground. Do you wanna know what's going on or not?
so there is an individual responsibility in that point.
There is, but how many individuals do it? I know of individuals that run their wash water out the back
So
door.
now we're putting ourselves in the position to be economically responsible for it as a township. And it all ties back into, are we doing it not necessarily for Moon Valley, but for the developer? Does it sell that parcel? Does it build Milford Township in the direction you hope? Who puts the cost for that? So there's further due diligence in everything you do, and as Chairman Women, responsibility, the burden of that responsibility falls on you. And as Mr. Lutfi said, that it's a greater area interest. You've said it as well in that statement with the Delaware River. So you're not listening to other people in the room on other points as far as the zoning
How
and
do
those
you know what I'm
responsibilities.
listening to and what I'm not
Right.
listening to? You're putting words in my mouth. Stop.
And accusations.
Thank you.
Fair enough.
Thank
fair
you.
enough.
No more.
Now, may I ask one more question, apart from the sewer? Mr. Williams, you said 12 acres for prime time and
I said
Wheatfield
that's
Village?
approximately a 12-acre piece of property.
Approximately, is that including the other properties next to it? Just the Wheatfield Village, that road going in?
Well, if those 12 acres would have to be from 209 all the way to the back road.
Yeah, it's that whole
Right,
section.
It would
right,
have to
so
be
we're
all
talking
section. And I don't, it might not even be
and
that big.
the two, is it two medical buildings?
The medical building, it's prime time, medical building, Coast Tires,
Right,
The accountant's office is on
the
the other side.
accountant's office on the other side,
Rare.
the engineering office up there,
yep.
Great.
Rare.
And Wheatfield Village itself,
and
correct?
Wakefield Village,
Approximately 12 acres.
approximately 12
And how many units in Wheatfield Village?
22, I
think.
believe.
I think it's 22.
So is that not half the density of the proposed zoning change?
Listen, we're not gonna keep rehashing the zoning change. Let the planning board do what they gotta do, and let's go from there.
Well-
Because right now, everybody's putting their cart before the horse. We don't even know if it's gonna get to us. We're gonna let them do their job. Moving on, moving along. Next.
Yeah, Gary, I'd like to support Phyllis's very good point about the borough and the township working together on a comprehensive plan. I disagree with her that we should have other townships because the borough and the township have a symbiosis. In other words, a good percentage of the people who live in Milford Township have to come through Milford Borough to almost go anywhere. That's a special relationship, and we should be sensitive to what you do here, and you should be sensitive to what we do. We ought to be on the same page, and a comprehensive plan allows us to do that.
Thank you.
Well,
Next, anybody? Okay, moving along.
I have an disturbance inspection report for the project of Verizon Wireless. Location is Milford Road,
That's Shoal Township,
Vegetable.
and what we got.
Another disturbance inspection report, that's for SR 0084, section 448. And there's no violations for this project. I got this summary of county and local municipal tax revenue from Pike County. So there's all the townships and boroughs of Pike County. Total number of taxable parcels, assessed values, etc. A letter from Brian Snyder. It's about Snyder Estate Lot Equipment, and he put some comments. This is another letter from Brian Snyder. It's about the zoning ordinance amendment for sections 413 and 414. It's for the kennels ordinance. There's another letter from Brian Snyder. It's for the DEP permit process of kennel claiming. A newsletter from Columns. This letter is from Lisa Hall, and it's about the availability of pricings on Ford, Chevy, Ram, Chrysler, Dodge, and Jeep vehicles. This letter is from Liberty Flags, and it says that there are important dates in June. For example, June 20 is West Virginia statehood, June 21 is New Hampshire statehood, June 25 is Virginia statehood. This letter is from Greg Berry of Municipid. He said that some equipments were sold, and this is a summary of the auction results. June newsletter from Pike County Conservation District. This letter is from HRG Engineers. They wrote a letter. They gave us the plan of study and preliminary cost worksheet.
They said that they anticipate the study will be submitted to DEP in June 2020, following the required municipal and public comment periods. An application from Saucon Homeowners Association, they want to use our building for their meeting. This is an open letter to Milford Township Supervisors and Planning Commission from Amy Eisenberg. It's about the zoning amendments. These are all, so that's it.
Thank you, Shahana.
You're welcome.
Old business kennel ordinance. Now, the kennel ordinance has been sent to the papers when?
No, we gotta re-advertise.
You gotta re-advertise it?
You got
Yes.
that?
Let's get that out there for 30 days right now for advertising.
I'd like to make a motion, we re-advertise for public hearing on the amendments to the zoning ordinance 413.3, 413.4 and A, and 413.4B, which is part of our kennel ordinance, to have a public hearing on July 15th, 2019.
Yeah, that's 30, yeah, okay.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. Aye? Aye.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's no time. 30,
30 days.
30 days, yes, it's gotta be 30. Bids, you already covered. New business, electronic recycling, Tommy.
Hey guys, Tommy Ricks, A-Plus Configurator Milford. Yeah, working with the communities, we've noticed that a lot of people have been dumping electronics the wrong way, and what we'd like to do is host a recycling event here where people from the town can actually bring these old items and we can properly dispose of them properly. We're looking to collect any type of electronics the size of an air conditioner or smaller. And we have a relationship with Trovey and Sons, which is in Sparrowbush, to get rid of any metals. And we have a recycling company in Port Jervis that we can get rid of these things properly. So that's what I like to do.
Okay, that doesn't sound like a bad idea. Now you're gonna have dumpsters and roll-offs or something, and it's only gonna be for one day?
What I'd like to do possibly maybe 2 days.
2 days, so it'll be on a weekend, correct?
On a
Saturday
weekend,
and Sunday?
Saturday and Sunday.
Do you have dates?
Not yet, I wanted to get approved first.
What is the cost to the
Cost.
community?
There's no cost. Well, there would be a $20 or $10 course for someone who's bringing, let's say, an old CRT or anything that has Freon, because we have to pay that as well. So there'd be a $20 course, but that only. But just to dump the items themselves, there would be no cost to the community.
Wow, that's
What do you
unusual.
know cost for like refrigerators or freezers? You're not taking.
We're not taking anything that
Okay.
big. Exactly.
So,
Anything air conditioner size and smaller.
Just in
Insurance?
Milford Township or do?
Well, I don't know how far I can expand to.
Oh, if you put a dumpster out there and say you're gonna collect electronics, you're gonna get people from Stroudsburg.
Okay, well, let's keep it within the.
Milford Borough, Milford Township?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, your insurance? Your insurance, cover that?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll just need a copy of that. Okay,
And he has no dates.
we need dates for it to approve that. You're gonna have to give us a Saturday, Sunday date, because we have to know whether or not we've already given permission on certain dates for car washes or the use of the building or something like that.
Right. Can we say tentatively?
Are you gonna need time to make the public notice for him?
No.
No?
It's his expense, right?
No,
At his expense.
Okay.
End of June,
please.
end of June,
June
29th and 30th?
Wow, that's
My
coming up quick.
suggestion would be to wait a little bit
Wanna do a
longer
little
so you
further?
can advertise that and maybe get to the end
So
of
maybe
August.
end of July or August? August?
Yeah,
All
I
right.
mean, back to
That's fine.
school, I'm thinking back to school when everybody's buying their new stuff and
Exactly.
getting rid of their old stuff.
So let's,
Yeah.
17th and 18th of August?
God, you read my mind. I think that's probably, don't, nobody has to think about the 17th and 18th,
Plus
guys.
computer.
Guys, 17th and 18th of August, what do you think?
Sounds good, mate.
17th and 18th, Shahana, do you have anything for the 17th and 18th of August?
No,
Okay, so that weekend is free.
yes.
Okay. Okay, and we're gonna need a copy of insurance, as we did for the computers, okay, to know that you're insured.
Yep.
Another thing is, you're gonna be putting those roll-offs in on a Friday night or a Saturday morning?
Friday night.
Friday night. So actually, the 17th and 18th are a Saturday, Sunday. You're gonna need it for the 16th, and the reason why is because if we don't do that, and then we give the building out and you have a dumpster out there, it's not gonna be pretty. So.
No, I think the dumpster should go back there behind the fence anyway.
you
Well,
gotta-
we
Because
were
like
actually
people
gonna do a
can
U-Haul
unload.
truck.
Huh?
We were actually gonna do a U-Haul truck, so
Oh,
we can
well,
just
if
take
you're
it
gonna
on
do
with
you
us.
all, you can bring them in that day, right?
Exactly.
Okay, that makes it just easier on us.
All right, great.
Are you gonna advertise it then?
Yeah, it's up to him to advertise. Yeah, go ahead.
I make a motion, we allow A-plus computer service to do electronic cleanup business here in Milford Township on August 17th and 18th for the residents of Milford Borough and Milford Township, at no expense to Milford Township.
I'll second that. All in favor? Aye, motion carries. There you go, Tommy.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, request to use the township building on the 24th. I saw something here on there.
Sawkill Run. I'll make a motion, we allow Sawkill Run Homeowner Association to use the township building on June 24th for their meeting, as long as they give a certificate of insurance.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and I'm gonna add something else to new business, something I've been wanting to do, and I'm going to do, whether it sticks or not. The Sunshine Act gives the public the right to comment on issues that are or may be before the board. Agencies must provide a reasonable opportunity for residents and/or taxpayers to comment on an issue before a decision takes place. Agencies are permitted to establish rules to oversee public comment by, for example, limiting the time for each commenter, or the Office of Open Records encourages agencies to take care when imposing time limits on public comment. 3 minutes is a common limit and may be more than enough at most public meetings. However, it may not be adequate at certain meetings, such as when a complex draft budget is being discussed. It can be a good practice to allow for flexibility in any policy imposing time limits on the public, taking care to ensure that the agency does not show partiality to some commenters over others. Agencies are also permitted to limit comment to residents and taxpayers of the agency that they serve. And with that, I would like to make a motion that only taxpayers and residents of Milford Township be allowed or be the ones to comment in our meetings.
That goes against the comprehensive plan
Excuse
study.
me, I'm in the middle of a motion. If I don't get a second, you can comment. No seconds?
I won't give you a second until the attorney says.
Okay, no seconds. I just wanted to do it. So it fails anyway, so there you go. And it has nothing to do with the comprehensive plan.
Yeah, right. Well, but it does, because I go along with what Rachel said. It's, everything involved in the community, township, borough, Westfall Township, it doesn't matter. The community needs to be involved and should be involved. That's the key.
Okay.
Should be involved.
Okay,
And not in a round robin situation too, not just public comment 5 minutes.
listen, it is what it is. Like I said, it didn't go. Any other public comment? Now we're down to that. Any other public comment? No? Executive session.
No?
Make a motion, we pay the bills and adjourn.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Motion carries.